Hello, glad to have you with me today. Now, federal lawmakers resumed after observing their annual recess, which lasted over 7 weeks. With the state of the economy holding the attention of the country, many expect the lawmakers to immediately focus on this issue. Nigerians were also looking forward to see how lawmakers in the House of Representatives would handle the budget padding allegations made by one of their own. So what did the lawmakers do? Well, let's find out in our first report.
The National Assembly comes alive as Parliament resumes after a 2-month recess. Inside the upper chamber, the Senate President speaks on the economic crisis facing the country. He says the recession and consequent economic problems confronting the country requires urgent and drastic solutions. Senator Saraki gives some suggestions which he believes would give investors confidence, discourage currency speculation, and stabilize the economy.
The executive must raise capital from asset sales and other sources to shore up foreign reserves. The measures should include sales of holdings in liquid natural gas investment, reduction of government share in upstream oil venture operations, and sale of government stake in financial institutions, privatization and concession of airports. The executive must consider tweaking the pension funds policy within international best practices to accommodate for investment in infrastructure and mortgages.
Senator Saraki appears to be on the same page with industrial mogul Aliko Dangote, who has also advised the government to sell off some of its assets. But the advice to privatize and concession airports and refineries are already generating strong reactions in the country.
Thereafter,
in the House of Representatives, although the Speaker did not delve into the economic challenges facing the country, it is obvious that the recession is on the minds of some lawmakers.
I'm very sure that the issue of economy will take the front burner on the floor of the House. Anywhere in the world, the Parliament is like a catalyst that stirs up economy in such situations like this.
The economy is passing through some challenges, and we know that all the arms of government have a role to play. Now, we are going to focus more on what we need to do to support the executive to ensure that Nigerians are pulled out of, or Nigerian economy is pulled out of recession.
The Senate is devoting the next 2 days to debating the state of the economy and going through the recommendations made by the Senate President. Now, if these recommendations are agreed and passed by federal lawmakers, they would be sent to the executive.
For 2 days, both chambers considered the state of the economy and steps that should be taken to arrest the situation. Here's how the debate progressed.
It's the second day of debate in the Senate on the state of the economy. Federal lawmakers are individually suggesting solutions which they say would get the country out of recession and put it on course of economic recovery and growth.
these are practical approaches we can take.
A federal lawmaker says the federal government's approach to fighting corruption is doing the country more harm than good. Another lawmaker calls for a total restructuring of the economy.
If you look at Nigeria today, nobody's buying land, nobody's buying houses. Rent actually is coming down. The economy has shut down. Now, what is the reason? The reason this is happening is, for one word, fear. Everybody is afraid. You cannot run a 21st century economy where everybody is terrified. Everybody is afraid of being arrested, and as long as you have fear in the system, you will not invest your money in that economy.
I want us to look at, in this current constitutional review, the various exclusive lists and the various concurrent lists. Let us see where we have overburdened the federal government. We must come to a point in this republic to say, what is it? How can federal government do primary health? It will fail.
Some lawmakers opposed the recommendation of the sale of government assets and questioned the reluctance of the federal government to make use of funds in several intervention agencies to stimulate the economy.
And I'm curious, Mr. President, if we now say that because of recession, this very viable asset should be sold, what happens, Mr. President, if there's another recession in 15 to 20 years' time? What will not be the asset to be sold?
We do not have to go out crying for debts. As we talk, Mr. President, we have the National Pension Commission. Can the National Assemblies try to know how much we have there, stuck, that is not being utilized?
The Senate has concluded the debate on the state of the economy and has set up a 6-man committee to harmonize all the views expressed by lawmakers during the debate and report back to the Senate next Tuesday, September 27th.
Federal lawmakers resumed from their recess to meet an economy officially declared to be in recession. It's an issue the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Yakubu Dogara, highlights in his welcome address.
The recent retreat by Mr. President with his cabinet and sundry statutory appointees is most commendable. It is in this regard that I urge Mr. President to consider holding a joint emergency session of the National Assembly to brief both the legislature and indeed Nigerians of his plans to pull Nigeria out of recession. This will provide opportunity for all stakeholders to be on the same page and to act in concert for urgent national recovery. It will also further consolidate existing ongoing consultations between the Presidency and the National Assembly on the way forward.
To indicate how important the situation is, the lawmakers considered 3 motions on the matter. Some of the lawmakers outlined the factors they believe led to this recession.
If there is anything that is bad for any economy, it is the idea of uncertainty. And I believe that certain policies that have been driven by government, particularly its monetary policy, has been disingenuous and has not been advantageous to the economy.
They were all humanly created. Lack of clear-cut economic policies were our major problem. Inconsistencies in policies also contributed to this whole crisis. And I'll give you a very clear example. One of the major things that created one of the major capital flight in our country from the beginning of this issue was the policy that borders on the foreign exchange policy, and which was the domiciliary account.
The myriad of policy somersaults you've had from CBN, from Minister of Finance, I can't comprehend them. I can't understand. The CBN governor will be saying one thing, my sister, the Minister of Finance, will be saying another thing, and we're in trouble.
Others put forward possible solutions for the federal government.
We need to reduce the structure right now is top-heavy. We need to reduce the responsibilities of federal government and begin to devolve those things to the states and allow the states to internally generate revenue to be able to take care of those things. For as long as the federal government is controlling 80% of the responsibilities of government, no matter how much money you make, the federal government will be overburdened. So this is a time that calls for restructuring.
The House, however, agreed with the Speaker and resolved to meet with the Senate to reach a consensus on the need to invite President Muhammadu Buhari to a joint session of the National Assembly. The President will be expected to address the lawmakers on plans to move Nigeria out of recession.